Welcome, it's Facts You Don't Know. If it's your first time here and you want to find out new facts that will definitely make you smarter and more, well, and first make sure to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss anything.
Mrs. Margarita was heading in her wheelchair to the park she used to frequent. She was wearing a hat that protected her from the sun and was wearing only rags. The truth is that it was sad to see that poor paralyzed lady in a deplorable state of destitution at her advanced age. She carried with her a little pannier in which she begged for alms and a sign that said, "Help me please, to pay for my daughter's studies." The lady came back to the park every day and stood under the shade of a tree to beg, as it was the only occupation she could carry out in that state. Soon a young man approached her and noticed what the old woman's sign said. Then he said, "Madam, I congratulate you on your efforts with your daughter. Remember that there is an all-seeing God. Here I leave you a bill. It's not much, but I hope it will help you with something." The old woman shook her hands and said, "Thank you very much, my son. God bless you." And so passed some other people who looked at the lady and felt sorry for her. They put some coins in her little pan and said, "Here you have, Granny, for your daughter's studies." The old woman, moved, always gave thanks. "God bless you." While this was happening, Marthita, the old woman's daughter, was entering her school, and behind her came some of her classmates who were whispering to each other. "Look at that beggar. I don't know how she got into this school. She's not on our level. Just look at it. It even seems that one of us is believed." Marthita listened to what her companions were saying, but she continued walking without giving any importance to their offenses. When her colleagues saw that she did not seem to care what they said, behind her back, one of them said, "Look, Mariana, you'll see what I do to install it. It abounds." And saying this, he came quietly behind Marthita and threw the books and notebooks on the floor that she was carrying in her hand. And when she said, "What a shame, excuse me, I didn't know that beggars like you were allowed in here." After all of this, Marthita's other classmates laughed as they watched the girl try to pick up her things off the floor. Another of her classmates approached her and said, "Who do you think you are, eh? You come to our school and take classes with us, but don't think you're like us. You're just the daughter of an old beggar, and to top it all, wheelchair bound." "I would be ashamed to have a beggar mother," said another of her colleagues. Marthita, the truth, had not bothered because they threw things on the ground, but she was angry when she heard the offenses that they said about her mother, who was actually her grandmother because her biological mother had kicked them out of her house when she was born. So she told them, "You'll swallow your words because she's my mother and I love her just as she is." And saying this, he got into an unequal fight. There were several girls against her, but the girl knew how to defend herself and delivered good blows to her opponents. Soon the scandal caused a tumult of onlookers, and the director of that school appeared saying, Stop there, young people. What's going on here? Are we not civilized people to fix things properly? Tell me what happens here. Is this troublemaker, Mr. Headmaster?" he said to Mariana in a most cheeky way. Another of her cronies supported her and said, "Yes, it's true, Director. Marthita began to insult us that her mother is worth more than ours." And so, one after another, they began to accuse Marthita. The director believed all the arguments and sent her home that day. Marthita was crying, not because she'd been unjustly punished, but because her grandmother had been made fun of, who for her was her mother. While all this was happening, Mrs. Margarita was still in the park. The sun was strong and made her skin blistered. But the lady did not move from the place, waiting and thanking the good people who left some money to pay for her daughter's studies. A man in a suit and tie who was passing by at that moment approached the old woman, read what the label said, thought for a few moments, then he took out a wallet. But when he was going to give some money, or he stopped on the spot without saying anything. The man looked for a supermarket near the park and bought some of the most expensive fruits and vegetables. Then he took them to Mrs. Margarita and said, "Here you are, grandmother. This will help you earn more money." The man put what he had bought in a box and attached a makeshift sign on which he wrote, "Fruits and vegetables are sold," and then left. Mrs. Margarita, who was more than happy with that stranger, and her tears rolled down her cheeks. "Thank you very much," she managed to tell the stranger. Now Mrs. Margarita had a mini fruit and vegetable stand. People came by and paid the fruits at a good price. She gave thanks and people left very happy. In a few hours, she had almost sold out of her product. In that, Marthita was arriving at the park and met her grandmother. But a boy, a classmate from the school, stopped her and said, "Marthita, don't listen to those Baptists. They shouldn't study there, but rather be in a zoo because they behave like animals. Martina stared at him and said, "Don't worry, Raul. I'm used to people making fun of me. Everyone calls me La Limonera's daughter." But Raul took one of her hands and said, "Martina, I've wanted to tell you for a long time that I like you a lot. I don't know why those conceited ones bother you. It must be because they're spoiled girls, daddy's daughters and moms. You're a sweet and kind girl, and that's what attracts me to you." Martina couldn't believe it. Raul was one of her closest friends, and they'd liked each other for a long time. "But Raul, I'm not on your level. You and everyone else are rich people. They have everything money can afford." But Raul didn't let her finish and told her, "But that doesn't matter to me. You're a very tender girl, and whoever your mother is, she's made you an excellent person, and that's what really interests me." Martina stared at him and said, "Well, if you want, I can introduce you to my mother. She's the one who's already under that tree." As Martina pointed to her grandmother, she noticed that a thief boy rushed up to her and snatched her money bag and ran off. Martina started yelling, "Mom, Mom, my God, help her." But there was no longer a need, because Raul had run after that robber and caught him and knocked him to the ground. There he was face down, and then he said to him, "Take it easy, boy. Why are you stealing from a poor woman who can't defend herself?" The thief saw Raul, a strong and handsome boy, and said, "Leave me now, please. Steal, because I'm hungry and I need money." Raul took her pay with the money and said in a stern voice, "It's better to ask than to steal, you know. Give back what was stolen and excuse Ticuna, old woman, or I'll call the police so they can put you in the boat." The thief saw that Raul was serious, so he said, "Okay, okay." They went to where the old woman was, and the thief apologized. Then Raul said to him, "You see, he feels much better when you do things right." And saying this, he took out his wallet and gave the robber a couple of bills. "Here, get out of here. Buy yourself something to eat. And please do not commit another crime." The thief was surprised by the benevolence of that boy. He took the money he was offered and just walked away. Then Raul returned the pan with the money to the old woman. And that's when Martina told him that she was his mother. Raul then told her, "Madam, nice to meet you. It's a pleasure to meet you." The old woman, with heavy tears in her eyes, said, "Thank you, young man, for your courage." But Raul did not let her finish. He said, "Madam, from today you will no longer have to beg to survive. Their lives are going to change. Yes, as of this moment." Raul was the son of a wealthy businessman, owner of a huge estate company. A man who had made his fortune with hard work and determination, had been poor in everything he had achieved through hard work and honest work. When Raul told his father the story of Martina and her begging grandmother, he gave his son a small fruit and vegetable shop so that the old woman and her daughter could work and earn a living with dignity and honor. Martina and her grandmother were soon blessed and were extremely grateful for the benevolence of that noble boy and his father, who had deep respect for what that old woman and her daughter were worth as people, and not for their humble social condition. A few years later, Martina and Raul were married, and her grandmother still managed to give her blessing, because soon after she passed away. But she died happy, knowing that her granddaughter had managed to find happiness in a good man who would love and protect her always. Thanks for watching. Please like and share the video in social networks. We'll be right back to you as fast as we can.